Welcome to Travel with Danny and MJ. I'm Mary Jane.
And I'm Danny. We're traveling the world with just carry-ons and a backpack each.
This is the Ecoparque, and we're gonna check it out, the ecological park here in Buenos Aires. Let's see what the story is here.
We're in Ecoparque, Buenos Aires. It's a large urban park. It is located right in the heart of the city. You can see in the background one of the buildings. It's dedicated to environmental conservation and education.
And there's a dinosaur.
The park houses native flora and fauna, offering visitors a chance to learn about Argentina's ecosystems and participate in eco-friendly activities. So we'll see what we can do today.
There are monkeys. It's not a zoo anymore, but there are still animals here. One's on top of that building, that little building. There he is. There's another monkey.
The park covers 50 hectares, although I don't know what that equates to in acres, and features a variety of green spaces, walking paths, and educational exhibits focused on biodiversity and sustainability. And it is beautiful. This place is really gorgeous.
Saber-toothed tiger skeleton. Smaller, looks like a kind of rodent.
The park also includes a historical former zoo site, but we're seeing lots of animals, so I guess birds, it seems, are allowed to stay, and some smaller animals. And it has been repurposed to emphasize conservation and animal welfare, but there's a lot of animals to see.
They're just roaming free though. They're not caged in any way. So we see there are still some animals. There's a tapir back here and a giraffe. And what I read is that they were born in captivity, so they're not fit to be returned to the wild. So they will be cared for. And there's ostriches in there too. For their lives here, but there won't be new animals brought in. So the zoo will simply care for these animals for their lifetime. So we got giraffes and ostriches in here. We just left the Ecoparque, and this is the Monumento de los Españoles, the monument to the Spanish. Come to the botanical gardens here in Buenos Aires, called Carlos Thais. Stroll around and look at this pretty place. So ladyship having her Evita moment. Parque de Rosedal. It's a rose garden park. I'm not sure. At this point in the summer there'll be a lot of roses still, but we'll see. But it's just another beautiful park here. Just park after park in Buenos Aires. It's just gorgeous. Water features of the park. Looks like you can do little pedal boats or boat tours of some sort. Kinds of statues. I'm trying to figure out if this is one or two trees, but thought it was two or more, but they seem to all be connected together. It just got multiple trunks, and it is huge, this tree. This is, as far as I can tell, just one massive tree. At least from a width standpoint, one of the biggest trees I've ever seen. We got some roses here in the rose garden. Late summer here. So it's February, so for the northern hemisphere it's like August time frame. And it's hot, but still some roses here in the rose garden. Just a really pretty garden park. That's where you can rent the pedal boats beside the bridge. We're on a bridge. Lots of geese hanging out. We are visiting the Museum of Arte Latinoamericano de Buenos Aires, MALBA. So the Museum of Latin American Art in Buenos Aires. We're in the Recoleta part of Buenos Aires now. Just left the metro, the Subte, their subway system. This building over here is called the Faculty de Derecho, which I think means the law school. Not sure of which university. Got this nice pedestrian bridge over the big street. We're not far from the cemetery, but I don't think we're doing that right now. So this is Floralis Herenica, which is a flower sculpture here in the park near the Museum of Bellas Artes in Recoleta. It is meant to open and close every day, like opens in the morning and closes at sunset. But the sign says it's in reparations, so it's being repaired. Seems to be missing a pedal. Lights up at night and closes and opens. Got a look closer to Floralis Herenica. Pretty cool when it's opening and closing. Hopefully before we leave, we'll get to see that. And this is Plaza Evita, another thing honoring Eva Perón. See a lot of that over the next few weeks.
Okay, we're going into the Museo Nacional de Bellas Artes, and it's one of the most important art museums in Argentina and South America, so come on in.
In the Museo de Bellas Artes, they have a pre-Columbian section to honor pre-Hispanic artists and artisans. In this part of South America, in Argentina, you're where the native indigenous people were pretty much completely wiped out. Unlike other parts of South America, where some of the indigenous people survived and are still part of the culture. It's not in this part of South America, as far as I know and understand it.
Going into the Evita Museum now. I know a little bit about her. I'm looking forward to learning more. I know that she was born very poor, an illegitimate child, and wanted to get away from poverty, and so went into the big city, and then the rest is history. So let's go take a look. Just left the museum and the restaurant, which was really good. And a few things that we learned about Eva Perón was she was 15 when she left her small village and came to the big city. She had a career as in radio, and she was in one movie and some other stage works and things. She met Juan Perón when she was 25 at a charity event. They got married when she was 26, and they became a political team. In her life, her work is a little controversial. Depends on your perspective. She did a lot of work for the poor. She has an Eva Perón Foundation, which did a lot for orphans and women, but at the same time it was done a lot for political gain. She did a lot for women's suffrage. They got the right to vote in 1947, but everything was done with like a political slant. Unfortunately, she got sick with cancer and she died at 33 years old. So I wonder what would have happened had she lived longer. But she really left her mark on Argentinians, good and bad.
We are here at the Recoleta Cemetery. We're going to visit the cemetery. A lot of famous Argentinians are buried here. And, the most famous one is Evita. So, but I'm sure in the tour we're going to learn about a lot of other ones. The cemetery was originally the gardens of the nearby church of Pilar. At the end of the 1800s, the aristocracy of Argentina moved into the city because of the yellow fever epidemic. Decided they needed a beautiful place for their mausoleum, for their burial, and created here. Half of the presidents of Argentina are buried here, and many other famous people. There are 94 national monuments in this cemetery amongst the mausoleums. So this is Luis Angel Firpo, and he was a boxer, and he's the only athlete in this cemetery. He had a famous fight against Jack Dempsey, and the legend was that Dempsey got a long count, even though he should have been counted out. There are many mausoleums here. Some are in better condition than others. This one has, like, the doors fallen in. The tour guide said that some of the families are not can't afford it or have died off. There's no more descendants, and at some point the government takes over. But it takes some time between when the family cannot no longer support it and when the government actually would take responsibility for maintaining the crypts. So this is Sarmiento, who was the president, and he's known as the father of education in Buenos Aires. Sarmiento is responsible for the many parks that we have visited, and probably more than we are able to visit here in Buenos Aires. So this is where Eva Perón, or Evita, is been buried. She was kept, and she died. She was buried in the presidential palace by her husband, who was the President Perón. Then, when he was overthrown on the first time, the next president was not a fan of him or his wife, and had her secretly moved to Italy under a different name. So for 17 years they didn't know where she was. But Perón came back into power and found out, and had her brought back and buried here. So she was very famous for being, of the people, of the poor people, and an enemy of the aristocracy. So probably the aristocracy who are here would not be happy that she's buried with them, and she might not be so happy to be with them as well.
The story with this girl is she was found dead at a young age, teenager, and they said that she died of a heart attack. No pulse, no breathing, she's dead. Family buries her in a coffin here, and says that's it. Okay, she's dead.
So then the workers in the cemetery noticed that the coffin was had moved a little, had been shaken or something. but they couldn't get in. The only family had access, so the family came in and they opened the coffin, and it was apparent in the coffin that there were scratches on the inside, and even the girl who was buried in there was scratched. So the story is that she was buried alive. There's no proof of that one way or the other. The family denies it, but
makes for a good story.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful mausoleum.
This guy, Carrillo, was, I think they said, a vice president of Argentina. Not the greatest guy. He ordered the assassination of one of his political enemies. He made another kind of honorable general kill the other one, and he wanted to hide the evidence, but that General Lavalle didn't hide it. He kept the letter that ordered him to kill the other guy. But one of the stories about this guy is that his wife was liked to spend his money and went shopping and liked a good life. And at one point, he took an ad in one of the papers, a big ad telling all the stores that he was not going to support his wife's spending ways anymore, so they would not get paid if they sold her things that she wanted to buy from them. And she was very mad at him for that and swore never to speak to him again during the rest of their time together. And so he died, and she had this mausoleum created for him because he was an important figure in Argentina. And then when she died, she was buried facing away from him. So kind of a legend is to keep up the I'm not talking to you anymore for all eternity. It's also possible that it just made sense. He was facing that way. There was nowhere to put her statue, so she's facing away. But the other one makes a better story. This is the monument to General Brown, who was an important leader in the independence of Argentina and was an Irishman. So this is the Basilica del Pilar, which is the church attached to the Recoleta Cemetery. And it was the cemetery for hundreds of years, probably was actually the gardens of this church, and in the late 1800s was converted to a cemetery when a lot of the rich people came from the countryside into Buenos Aires because of the yellow fever epidemic in the late 1800s. In the mall, across from the cemetery, there's a fast food restaurant called Mostaza that has a beautiful kind of overlooking balcony of the cemetery. So we're now in the Centro Cultural Kirchner, the Kirchner Cultural Center. It is a magnificent old building. I think it used to be called the Palacio Libertad, but they named it after kind of a recent president who I think championed the renovations. So it's kind of a pretty great looking building. So this room in the Kirchner Center is the Sala de Eva Perón. It was apparently where the basically what their version of the Postmaster General would be, and she used it as her office for her foundation that created. And in the far corner there's a pile of letters reaching to the ceiling, which was kind of to show the mountain of requests that her foundation would get for help. Over in the farther corner there's some bicycles, and particular young people would be awarded bicycles as for good service or good school. And then by the window here is a replica of her jacket and hat to make it seem like she just stepped out for a few minutes. We're in this grand mezzanine above the ground floor. We have the blue sphere is one of the things to see here at the Centro Cultural.
We are in the Japanese Garden in Buenos Aires. It was inaugurated in 1967 to honor the visit of Japan's Emperor Akihito, who was then the Crown Prince. The garden was designed and built by the Japanese Argentine Cultural Foundation as a symbol of friendship between Argentina and Japan. Over the years, the garden has been expanded and maintained by the local Japanese community, becoming one of the most significant Japanese gardens outside of Japan.
The pond here is just a massive koi pond. It's really big, but it's full of koi, and you can buy little pellets to feed them, and they come around. They are doing wood sculptures out of these, I guess, old trees. This guy's making some pretty impressive birds, eagles, and they have koi flags blowing, which apparently are called koinbori. So just before you leave the gardens, there's a little exhibition space and a balcony where you get a full view of the whole park, the whole garden. In the exhibition area, there's a whole exhibition on kimonos. If you watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you know is a Greek word. The ceiling of the entrance hall is just filled with these origami foldings, art. So you didn't even notice it when we walked in.
Thanks for traveling with Danny and MJ. We look forward to seeing you on our next adventure.